You're listening to Interviews, the podcast that cracks the entrepreneurship code. I'm your host, Laurent Autin. I'm an entrepreneur, coach to entrepreneurs, and startup mentor with more than 20 years experience running companies and advising entrepreneurs. Being an entrepreneur is the most difficult job there is. There are no practical guidelines. So join me every week and learn how you can better navigate your entrepreneurship journey and become an exceptional entrepreneur. Hi, this is episode 6 of my special series, The Entrepreneur Alphabet, which I created to help you better grasp the skills it takes to be a successful entrepreneur and therefore avoid being the bottleneck in your business. I share practical A to Z insight across 26 short episodes. Yes, 26, like the number of letters in the alphabet. In this episode, we are covering the F word that most entrepreneurs are afraid of: failure. If entrepreneurship is a journey full of uncertainty, there's one thing that's certain: failure. The problem is that no schools teach you about failure. It's kind of taboo. Plus, we always read about the few that succeed, and then we forget about the thousands that actually struggle and fail. According to data I found online, a startup only has a 0.0006% chance of becoming a unicorn. That's 3 out of every 5 million companies. In addition, 20% of small businesses fail within the first year. By the end of the second year, 30% of businesses will have failed. By the end of the fifth year, about half will have failed. So let's be clear. Failure is the norm. Success isn't. You will fail, 100% guaranteed. If you think you won't, maybe it's time to check your ego. Of course you shouldn't want to fail, but it's what it is. You need to recognize that there's a possibility of a lot of failures during your entrepreneurship journey, even when you're good at what you do. In fact, failure is one of the words my guests mention the most often on my podcast, Interviews Cracking the Entrepreneurship Code, together with persistence or resilience, because those words go together. Take Richard Lavina, the founder of TaxFiled. In episode 63, he says, "You can do everything correct and still fail. That's a constant challenge. Persistency and having a hard work ethics help go through those. Because you're going to hit these walls and you got to continue going." Successful entrepreneurs like Richard understand that failure is part of the game. Not only do they accept it, but they give themselves permission to fail because they know humans make mistakes. They have the courage to admit things sometimes aren't going well, and they don't pretend to be stronger than they think they are. One of the most powerful obstacles to giving yourself permission to fail is shame. You know, the shame that you think you will feel if you fail. The shame that you think you will see in the eyes of others because of the so-called society standards. Forget about the shame. It doesn't matter. It's your journey, not theirs. And let me tell you a secret. It's important to fail. Because if you don't ever try anything, you're never going to succeed. Also, think about the following. Who determines when you fail? I mean, how can you call something a failure with certainty? Pause this podcast for a while and really think about the answer. Failure is the opposite of success. But can you tell me what success is? I bet you will say what success is for you, and your perception will certainly be biased because it's based on how you judge success among other people. What you see on social media or in the news, for instance, which, by the way, represents success in a very materialistic manner. But you're not able to provide a general definition of success. Well, the same goes with failure. What is failure really? I guess it's more failure for you than anybody else. Based on the society standards, like the answers to an exam that will determine if you pass or not, your perception of seeing others experiencing failure, which is altered by your own perception of success. Now consider the following. Can you fail if you always get up? That's what successful entrepreneurs do. They see failure as opportunities to learn and strengthen their businesses. They get up. There will be bumps for sure. But if you're doing something that gives you a good feeling, something that makes an impact, who cares if there are some setbacks? Who cares if there's failure? Nurturing such an attitude about failure not only encourages you to be bold and try new things, but it also creates a culture in your business where failing is fine. Now imagine how much freedom you will give to your people if they are able to say, I can fail, I can make mistakes because the environment I work in allows me to do so. If you don't create such an emulating environment, either people will get risk adverse and nothing will happen, or they try things and then they hide when they make a mistake. Which culture do you want to build for your people? Again, it's fine to fail. It's fine to get things wrong. Just chat about it and move on. Having said all of that, being afraid of failing is a natural emotion. It's not easy to accept, especially as some of the setbacks can be more painful than others. To help you deal with it, remember two things. One, you grow when you struggle. You grow when you fight. You grow when you get out of your comfort zone. And two, entrepreneurs are great at finding opportunities. So when you face adversity, instead of wasting your time, lament your fate, look for the opportunities that the situation has created. The most successful entrepreneurs have learned to deal with failures. They always get back on their feet because they know failing is part of the game. Those entrepreneurs don't complain. They never make excuses for themselves. No, they simply take whatever challenges that come at them, treat them as business constraints, and find solutions to get through them. In short, they act. They create opportunities for themselves. At the end of the day, the difference between perceived success and failure is often whether you take those opportunities or not. To conclude this episode, I'd like to provide you with two powerful questions to deal with failure. Question number one, how did you end up in the situation that you are in? Question number two, what's the one thing, and just one thing, you need to do to take the first step out of it? Thank you for listening. If you have enjoyed this episode, subscribe to my podcast. Next time, I will be talking about grit. Bye for now.